gozaimasu, minasan. Hey, welcome back with Ali today. So in the last video, we talked a lot about British traditions and cultural facts. And today we are going to learn a bit more about first Ali's experience in Japan. And then we are going to talk about the differences actually between Britain and Japan. So cultural differences, right?
Great.
Okay, let's start with Japan first. Maybe let's start with a pretty tricky question, but
okay.
What is your worst memory in Japan so far?
Worst memory in Japan. It's a difficult one. I mean, I think I just don't tend to remember the really terrible things.
Right.
I guess maybe not my worst memory, but like something that was really, really difficult for me coming to Japan was when I first came and this, the high of living in this completely new country kind of dies down, and the frustration of not being able to speak the language and having so much paperwork to do and not understanding, like there's a difference between going on holiday and having an adventure in a new country and then being like, oh my God, I live here now and I don't, I'm so out of my depth. So I think there was a period of time in the first year of living here where I struggled a little bit. I'm so far from all of the comfortable things that I used to know, and I'm now in this sort of like different world, and there was resistance, at some point. And I think it just hit me that if I wanted my life to be comfortable and just how it was back home, I could just move back home, but that's not what I want. So
right.
It was a difficult time, but it really helped me to really just open my mind and embrace the Japanese way. And I think having that difficult experience just helped me to, just really immerse myself in Japanese culture.
So now perhaps you're looking for the next challenge or the new adventure, or do you feel really comfortable where you are in?
Well, I would say that I don't speak good Japanese, and so my enjoyable challenge right now is learning Japanese. And yeah.
That's a challenge. I know
it's a challenge, but it's I feel a big motivating factor for me to learn Japanese is my YouTube channel, to be honest, because
for you guys.
Well, yeah, and I think it's a sign of respect for the culture as well to be able to integrate and speak the language and enjoy all the things that knowing the country's language brings. So yes, I am trying and I'm having fun, and thank you for everyone who has watched my videos and my terrible, terrible Japanese. Thank you for being patient and so supportive.
All right. Yeah, it's a journey. The opposite question. So what is your best memory in Japan so far during these 6 years you've lived here? I guess you've lived many incredible experiences, but perhaps there is one that really is dear to your heart.
Yeah, that's much more difficult, I think, because there's just so many moments. And I think, I'm going to give you one answer, but after this conversation, I'm probably going to be thinking, oh, why didn't I say this one? Why didn't I say that? I think I would say just finding my feet, just finding these tiny little moments where I'm in a culture that's completely foreign to me, but I meet someone who resonates with me so strongly. It's like I've known them forever. Or I don't know, just all these experiences which are, again, like in a completely foreign culture, but really are part of me deep down. I connect with them so much, and it's kind of like magic almost.
Wow, all right. Is there a place that you really like to go to, actually?
So yeah, I think my places that I would go to escape Tokyo were or are Hakone. I love Hakone so much. I have such fond memories of time just in the mountains for hours and hours, hiking and thinking and just being in nature.
Sounds beautiful.
It's amazing. Anyone who comes to Tokyo or anyone who comes to Japan has to go to Hakone. It's amazing.
Have you actually slept there for a few days or a few nights, or?
Yes, yeah, I've stayed in. They've got many onsen. You can pop in for an afternoon, or you can stay in a very gorgeous hotel, or you can stay in a cheap and cheerful hotel. You know, it's a really beautiful place. Yeah.
All right, amazing. Thanks so much. So Hakone is your recommendation actually of places?
Yes, and actually, you know, seeing as we're talking about it, maybe that is one of my treasured memories. Just, you know, if I felt stressed or frightened, you know, or overwhelmed by life, I would just wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and just hike all day, and I'd always feel much better. So,
definitely.
Yeah.
Going back to the source, right?
Yeah.
Right, let's focus a bit more on really the deep Japanese culture. What is it that you appreciate the most in Japanese culture, like the point that you really find the most interesting about the culture?
I think the way that so much meaning and passion and energy is put in, but is revealed through a tiny little action, like a turning of the cup or a tiny movement in, like, you know, theatre or something like that. Like, it's so simple, but it's so perfect in its way, you know? It has so much meaning whilst not being flamboyant and elaborate, you know, it just has that beautiful dichotomy. Yeah.
Right. Actually, I totally agree with you. It's very interesting and fascinating. Yeah, this whole attention to the details. And actually, that's one of the things that really attracted me when I came is this the art and all these manners that are really so interesting and so refined. Actually, it's really beautiful.
Yeah,
Definitely. Have you ever been to? I guess you have been, but do you have a good memory in a Japanese museum, for example?
Well, I think, probably my favourite exhibition that I've been to is the Cartier exhibition.
Cartier?
Yeah. That's not particularly Japanese, is it? But I would say, compared to London, I don't actually go to museums as much as I used to.
Right.
I feel like, basically, Japan, just going to the supermarket, you know, you are exposed to culture in a way that's, like, very intriguing. When you live in a different country to your own, everything you do, every step that you take, you're always introduced to some aspect of the culture. So I would say that I don't go to museums, but I do explore in everyday life.
Yeah, every day. All around is a museum. It's like living museum.
It's like living, absolutely.
Definitely, that's so exciting. So definitely, guys, if you have the opportunity to go abroad, go for it, right?
Yeah. You find a part of yourself that you wouldn't be able to find if you just stayed in one place.
Yeah.
And especially, I think, doing something that's a little bit scary, like coming outside of your comfort zone, you kind of learn to trust yourself a little bit more, because, like, if you can do it once, you can do it again, and if you can move to a country, then you can, you know, do another exciting move.
Okay, interesting. So now let's dive in a bit more into cultural differences now. So let's really compare Japan to Britain or Wales. Okay. So actually, just a more general question, in which way do you think Japan and England differ the most?
Probably when it comes to the safety and politeness. I mean, I think British people are very polite, but it's this more delicate way of politeness in Japan. So, you know, little bows, or if you've bought a product, they'll take you to the door and they'll bow at you down the road, you know. You know, it's this kind of, like, it's extremely cautious, you know, and careful and delicate. Much more careful, I think, than in Britain.
Yeah, you are really taken care of. Definitely, that's really incredible.
Almost too much, it feels sometimes, you know. It's like, I can take my bag by myself, you know, I'm an independent woman.
I thought about this before.
But in a way, you know, like, you just relax into it and allow yourself to be treated by, you know, the people in the shop and the people, you know, in the convenience store, and then the people in the restaurant or the hotel. Like, it's completely everywhere. Everyone is doing a fantastic job to the best of their ability. So you're safe, you're comfortable.
It's really impressive and admirable, actually. It almost feels too much for us, because it almost feels awkward, like, wow, they are doing so much for me. I wish I could do something back, you know?
As you said, like, we're just not kind of used to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, like, once you kind of get used to it, it's difficult, I think, to go back.
Next question. Do you think the societal pressure in Japan and in England is the same, or do you think it's a bit different? Because you probably know that Japan is one of the countries with the highest suicidal rate or this kind of thing. So I think that in terms of, the society really has these high expectations of their people, their nation.
Yeah, I think both countries, of course, have their own things, but I will say in Japan, people put a lot of pressure on themselves to do things to their best, you know.
Yeah, and I really feel that as well.
Well, at least what I see, there aren't so many people encouraging other people to express themselves, to say, I feel depressed or I feel extremely anxious. You know, there are so many cases of suicide in Japan which could have been avoided if people had a place to express themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and I think sometimes, like, as much as like a conversation may not solve your problems, but it can definitely take the weight off your shoulders.
Yeah.
And I think in Britain, having mental struggles is much more of an okay thing. You know, people say, yeah, I'm depressed. And it's not like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing, don't look kind of thing, which I think is a little bit more stigmatized here in Japan still.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So you think perhaps actually the pressure comes comes from the lack of expression, of self-expression.
I think it's a blend of wanting to be perfect, and as a part of that, not wanting to tell anyone when you're feeling imperfect.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, that's one of the points that I really loved actually about Japan, is the fact that Japanese are always doing their best, you know, like itsumo ganbaru mitai, compared to France, for example, because, well, again, it always depends on the individual, but in France, I kind of usually say like French people are quite lazy. So I don't know about Britain. Do you feel like they're kind of lazy compared to Japan, or?
Maybe not lazy, but much more slapdash. It's not like, oh, I have to do it perfectly. It's more like, oh, I have to do it. So, yeah, I mean, of course, as you said, you know, there are individual differences. Some people are more perfectionistic, other people are more laid back or don't really care. And it also depends on the context, you know, like maybe with your job you really, really care, but when it comes to like going to the gym or maintaining your body, people don't care so much. So it really does depend, but yeah.
Talking about this, actually, I was really amazed when I was just walking on the street and and I saw this old grandpa, like you know, he was holding like kind of yoga sports mats.
Okay.
And so I was like, wow, even, you know, this old grandpa is going to the gym perhaps like every day or something like that. And I was like, I was always actually amazed at how Japanese people will take care of themselves, and they will do their best until the end, you know what I mean? So there's no excuse.
Absolutely. Did you know that I think it's around like 6 o'clock in the morning or 6:30, there's this special program for the older generation of Japanese people. And I think it's like 6:30 for 10 minutes, they do their little exercises. Oh, shit. It's like very small, like, you know, sort of like maybe like rolling your shoulders or going like this or something like that. But it's just a way of encouraging the older generation to take care of themselves.
Wow, that's so wonderful.
Yeah, it's lovely.
How about in Britain? Because in France, for example, like once you are around, let's say 50 years old, you are old. So you just, it's like, oh, I'm 50 years old now, I'm kind of old.
I can't do exercise.
I can't take this, you know, I'm getting old, so... Yeah, I'll just like leave myself, you know, like that, and getting worse and worse. It's just because I'm old, you know. So it's kind of really used as an excuse. But even when you're at the half of your life, you're already old, and you should already, you know, stop working out or whatever. So is it the same in Britain?
I don't think so. I think, you know, it's not as
bad.
Not as much as in Japan, you know, like the way, as you said, you know, it's a culture where people want to do their best. So if you think in this way for 50 years of your life, it's not just going to stop when you're 50, you know, or when you start working. It will continue because it's the way, it's your spirit, you know, it's your like, it's all you've seen, it's all you know. So,
it's who you are, it's your identity.
Exactly.
Definitely, I love Japanese people. I know. We can learn so much from them, it's really amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So today we spoke a bit more about cultural differences, and I experience in Japan. And in the next video, actually, we are going to really dive much deeper into Ali in herself.
Okay.
Like it's about your personality and who are you as a person, you know what I mean? So we are talking a lot about your experiences, but not so much about who you truly are within. So we want to know you a bit better.
Wow.
So yeah, these kind of questions.
That sounds fun.
a bit more private, but well, let's see how it goes.
Wow.
Okay, so see you in the next video to know more about Ali. And before that, please don't forget to check her two YouTube channels. Can you tell us the names again, please?
Sure. My YouTube channels are called Ali Des, about life in Japan, and British English with Ali, about, well, British English.
Sounds great. All right. Thank you so much, guys, and see you in the next video. And also, don't forget to tell us if you have any questions that you would like to ask to Ali about Britain or anything like what she thinks about Japan, for example. Yeah, we would love to know what you think about it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.